Every game, St. Louis Cardinal fans flock to Busch Stadium to see their Cardinals. And with a talented group of veteran players, the Redbirds are always at or near the top of their division. Tonight, Johnny Cueto takes his turn against his former rivals as the Giants ace will try to shut down St. Louis in Game 1 of the series next.
The road trip continues tonight. We're in St. Louis as we get ready for Giants baseball. Game 1 of this 3-game series, Giants and Cardinals. Hi again, everybody. I'm Dwayne Kuiper. Alongside me is John Miller. Mike will be back with us on Tuesday, back in San Francisco. Well, the Giants 2-2 in Atlanta. They weren't happy with that. Now they got the tough Cardinals. And this Cardinal lineup is very strong, but the Giants are pretty pleased that Johnny Cueto's on the mound.
The Giants, when Cueto has been pitching, they win those games. He's 8-1. He's been one of the top pitchers in the league. He's an ace every bit as much as Bumgarner's an ace. Samardzija has been an ace, a third ace for that matter. But Cueto, a lot of experience against this Cardinal ball club because a lot of good Reds teams with Cueto as the ace there were up against this Cardinal team going for the top spot in the Central Division. And Cueto's record is not that good against the Cardinals. He's only 2-4 in this ballpark with a .571 earned run average. So we will believe it when we see it because Cueto seems to be good against everybody as a Giant.
All right, should be fun here at Busch Stadium. It always is. It's the Giants and the Cardinals. It's Cueto and it's Wainwright. Stay tuned. We'll take you to our CSN Bay Area studios for an update right after this.
Giants Baseball on CSN Bay Area is brought to you by Jack in the Box. It's back. The Portobello Mushroom Buttery Jack. Taste it before it's gone at Jack in the Box. And by Toyota, the full-line automaker with the longest-lasting vehicles in America. Toyota, let's go places.
It's very pleasant, but a little bit wet right now. 75 degrees, and it's very humid. And in fact, that's some humidity. It's raining here in St. Louis right now. Just a light rain falling as we're still minutes away from getting started. The Giants and the Cardinals.
Well, it's a good time for our Togo's big play the Togo's way, and we're going to concentrate on Madison Bumgarner. Yesterday in Atlanta, Bumgarner's home run off Aaron Blair. Second home run of the season, 13th of his career. Bumgarner also had, oh, by the way, 11 strikeouts to join this exclusive list. Check this list out. Most career games with 10 strikeouts and a home run in Major League history. Steve Carlton, he did it a bunch of times. Don Drysdale, you've heard of Big Don. Then Bumgarner, Gibson, Harshman, and Earl Wilson. What a great list to be on. And Bumgarner's not finished yet. Remember, he's in his mid-20s. All right, we got baseball here on this Friday night. This is where it's happening in St. Louis. When we come back, we will have the lineups and the first pitch right after these messages.
Of the season brought the Giants lineup card out, as did a former Giant, Mike Matheny, the Cardinal manager. A little bit of rain is still falling here in St. Louis. The game time weather presented by the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. Get to the beach. The admission-free boardwalk is now open daily. Well, we've 76 degrees is the game time temperature. 7-mile-per-hour winds. The humidity, it's rather humid. I'd say humidity is usually pretty high when it's raining. And the forecast is that there's a 60% chance of some thunderstorm activity and some showers. We're having a little light shower as we speak.
Which never surprises anybody when we're here in St. Louis. All right, let's take a look at the Giants lineup as we wait for the Cardinals to come out of their dugout. This is the lineup that Adam Wainwright will be facing. It'll be Span, Panic, and Duffy. Buster Posey, the cleanup hitter, then Belt and Crawford. Blanco, you see, he's played well, especially in his last 9 games. Blanco will be in left. Parker will hit 8th, and Johnny Cueto, of course, will hit in the 9th spot. As John mentioned, we are getting a little bit of rain. It is in the area. Usually is at this time of the year. But I'll say this about the grounds crew. They wanted to start this game on time, feeling like it might ease up a little bit as the evening progressed. And we've been in ballparks where if there's a threat of rain, they don't start the game. But that is not the case here in St. Louis. One of the reasons is probably all the experience they have at dealing with wet weather in this area.
Well, the head groundskeeper, he's looking at the radar, the weather radar, and he's also in contact with the National Weather Service. Usually they have an office over at the airport, getting their input on it. If there's some kind of a front, is it heading here? Is it heading north? And usually he'll get a pretty good assessment from all of that as to whether it's something big is headed here, or if it looks like something big is going to head somewhere else, and maybe just little bits of shower activities coming here. So even as we speak, it's turned into just a very, very light drizzle.
So with that loud noise, got everybody's attention, and with that, the Cardinals take the field, led by Adam Wainwright. If you weren't ready for the game, you certainly are after that. And Wainwright, Giants fully aware of this man right here, Adam Wainwright. He's got 5 wins this year, 3 losses. You see his ERA is a bit high for him. That's due to a couple of bad starts where he got torched. He's allowed 8 home runs, and he's 5-5 lifetime against the Giants. He's just tough. He'll go right at you, and then sometimes he won't go right at you. Just plain tough. Behind Wainwright, it'll be in the outfield from left to right, Holiday, Grichuk, and Piscotty. Carpenter will be at third. Then it's Diaz, the shortstop, Garcia and Adams on the right side, and then Yadier Molina, the veteran, the Gold Glover. He'll be catching Adam Wainwright. The Cardinals, they did lose yesterday. However, they have won 4 of their last 6. They're in, as you are all aware of, the very tough National League Central with the Cubs and the Pirates. Keys to the game, control, Matt Carpenter. Well, why do you say that? Well, not only is their leadoff hitter, but he leads the team in RBIs. So if you can control him, that would be a good thing. And then Cueto strike 1. That's the one thing that he's done a lot of things this year that have been great, but getting strike 1 has been one of the best things. All right, sit back and enjoy it. Here's John.
And these are 2 guys who are very familiar with each other, Wainwright and Cueto. And Adam Wainwright, 6 feet 7 inches tall with his first pitch, and it is too high to Denard Span, and we are underway. And a foul off to the right. 1 ball, 1 strike to Denard Span facing Wainwright. It is unusual to see Wainwright carrying a 5.71 earned run average. 64 2/3 innings pitched and 78 hits allowed. By the way, it's cooling off by several degrees just in the last 40 minutes or so. The official game time temperature now listed at 71 degrees, which is kind of a surprise. The umpiring alignment, Jim Joyce, the crew chief behind the plate, Marvin Hudson, James Hoy, and Chad Fairchild on the bases from first to third. Now that is typical Wainwright, right over the outside edge on the block.
Yeah, used to throw that pitch at 95. Now it's not there. But his control, if he's got it, then that's when he's really tough.
There's a great curveball, and that's fouled off the fist. That was a cutter. On deck is Joe Paddock, and that's one of my favorite stories of the League Championship Series. Giants Cardinals back in 2014 when Wainwright pitched for the second time in the series. Joe Panik hit a big home run against him early in that game.
Did it at AT&T Park.
He'd only hit one home run all year. A bloop. Piscotty, he's got it. So he took one away from Denard Span with a headlong dive.
Well, at first I thought this was going to fall, and then it hung up there. But Piscotty, who runs pretty well for a big guy, makes a nice play.
So Piscotty, who's been doing a little bit of everything, the former Stanford star, he's becoming an outstanding big league player, hitter, fielder, you name it. So here is Joe Panik. But my favorite story was Joe Panik hit that home run that night, and the studying that he did before the game and how he did it, watching some video as he takes ball one off the outside. He said that Wainwright's cutter kept getting in on his hands, and he made him look bad, just shut him down in game one of that LCS. But he didn't watch video of that. He remembered, as a Yankee fan, as he takes a called strike with that slow curveball, he remembered Bill Miller hitting a big home run against Mariano Rivera, who had the great cutter. And he wanted to see, because he thought, hey, Bill Miller was kind of a similar hitter to me. And he wanted to see what Miller's approach was. And he found a tape of that home run in a postseason game, Red Sox Yankees. And he watched it over and over again and studied every aspect of what his hands were doing, what his hips did, and all that kind of stuff. And then he went out, put that into practice, and hit a home run against Wainwright on a cutter. And curveball, and that just misses, and it's 3-1. And Wainwright didn't like that call by Jim Joyce.
He's giving the stank eye to Jim Joyce.
That home run that Panik has in his lifetime record against Wainwright, of course, was in that league championship series. One out, nobody on, 3-1. And a foul out of play off to the left.
You know, Mike's not here, Mike Krukow, but if you look at Wainwright and you look at the years that Mike was with the Giants and the stuff that Wainwright has right now, it really is a lot like the same stuff that Mike had when he won 20 games. His fastball might have been a little quicker than Wainwright's.
And that was tailing away from him, and he's thrown out by Matt Carpenter. 2 down. Excellent pitch by Wainwright. So 2 down. Here comes Matt Duffy. Wainwright has got a very bad earned run average. His numbers look very poor, but he's got 5 wins and 3 losses. He's won 5 straight decisions. One thing, right now it's a nice time to be a Cardinal starting pitcher because they score a lot of runs. This offense has been impressive. Cardinals are averaging almost 5.5 runs per game. 2 down, nobody on. 1 ball and no strikes. Cardinals are the #1 team in the National League in offense. That's foul off the right field line. A ball and a strike to Duffy.
Yeah, how about that? Giants play Cardinals and Boston back to back.
And then the Dodgers.
And then the Dodgers.
So this is a very interesting stretch against some of the top teams in both leagues.
Boston bangs the ball all over the place. Cardinals do the same thing.
And the Dodgers hit a lot better when they're not at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah.
That's 1 hop right to Garcia, and the Giants go down in order against Adam Wainwright. Now the Cardinals will come up. Johnny Cueto heading to the mound. The first inning here in St. Louis, and the Cardinal batting order with Matt Carpenter to lead off. He's had 28 extra base hits already, second most in the league. He's also their leading RBI man, even though he's the leadoff guy. Aledmys Diaz, who's an early contender for Rookie of the Year at shortstop. Matt Holliday, the veteran left fielder. Stephen Piscotty, outstanding young player, hitting cleanup now. He had been the #2 hitter in the lineup. Matt Adams, the bulky home run hitting first baseman. Randall Grichuk, and he's struggled a bit. He's a center field. The veteran Yadier Molina, the catcher. Greg Garcia, and you knew his grandfather, or know his grandfather very well. Garcia's at second base. Wainwright, the pitcher, all up against Johnny Cueto.
Yeah, Cueto 8-1 this year with a 2.31 ERA.
First ball swinging, base hit to center field. Now, when you think of Carpenter, you think of a very patient hitter. Carpenter with a .378 on base percentage and a lot of walks, but he's right there in the very first pitch.
See defensively, Blanco, Span, and Parker in the outfield. Duffy, Crawford, Panic, and Belt third to first. Buster Posey doing the catching. The thing about Cardinals, they know that Cueto, that's what he does. He throws first pitch strikes.
Well, it's a very intelligent group of hitters. Showing bunt, Diaz, and he takes it for ball one. Cueto 2-4 in this ballpark with a 5.71 earned run average. And he faced the Cardinals a lot as a member of the Cincinnati Reds. 5-8 overall in his career as Carpenter is back to the bag. 20 games started, 5 wins, 8 losses, and a 4.08 career earned run average against them. He was the National League Player of the Week for last week. Right field, Parker, one away, and Carpenter holding it first.
Well, Carpenter does a lot of things. One thing he doesn't do, however, is steal bases. So that's not something you have to worry about if you're Johnny Cueto.
He has not so much as attempted a steal so far this year. Cardinals as a team don't do much base stealing. They've stolen only 15 bases in the first third of the season. And no one player has more than 3 steals. So Diaz retired. Here is Matt Holliday. Big, strong veteran, powerful. And it's ball one. Holliday, 262, 9 homers, 31 driven in.
Thinner. He looks much thinner.
He had gotten big.
Yeah. Like he sent about 15 of those pounds to my house. What's up with that?
So he must have stopped at my house first.
Well, maybe.
2-0 the count. Holliday, who came up originally with the Colorado Rockies, but he really found a baseball home here in St. Louis. Oh, that's called a ball. Cueto didn't think so.
Well, Jim Joyce just told Cueto that this pitch was low, and that pitch is not low.
3-0. And did he swing?
That's called a makeup. Umpires don't do that. Eddie Montague told us that, but that right there was a makeup.
That's what they don't do.
Well, Eddie never did it.
And we've seen, it seems like over the years, a lot of guys not doing it.
Eddie did do it
over and over again.
Over and over.
High pop up. Joe Panic, shallow right. And he comes back to get Matt Holliday after falling behind him 3-0. Well done. 2 down. Johnny Cueto was the National League Player of the Week. He's looking for his 9th win of the season tonight. So far in the National League, here's the list of 9-game winners. It's a rather short list. There's one, and that's Jake Arrieta of the Cubs. Stephen Piscotty. The count is 0-1. Pretty good fastball, and that almost looked like it had a little cut to it. Scotty, big and strong. It seems like he kind of came out of nowhere. I know the Cardinals were high on him, but when he was a minor leaguer, but you weren't hearing from the national pundits a lot about it. He wasn't one of those guys that said, when this guy comes up, he'll be a Rookie of the Year candidate. But he's been good since the very first time he got to the big leagues.
Well, in 2014, he hit 9 home runs. That's the most he's hit in a season. And then he started out in Memphis last year, and he started out red hot. He hit 11, and that's what got him to the big leagues. But I don't think, I mean, his average was always good in the minor leagues, but really not his power numbers.
And he is a guy I think that they felt would develop power as he went along, and he certainly has. He's a cleanup hitter now on the highest scoring team in the league. But Johnny Cueto makes short work of it. A leadoff single by Carpenter, and he was stranded at first. Posey coming up.
SFN Bay Area is brought to you by AAA. Get a free Giants all-season blanket. Restrictions apply. Go to AAA.com/Giants or to a AAA branch for details.
Busch Stadium in St. Louis, inning number 2. Here's Buster Posey for the Giants, who hit a mammoth home run yesterday in Atlanta. And a fastball is right in there for a called strike to Buster. Buster now leads the club with 8 home runs, 26 batted in. .325 on base percentage. That's very low for Buster. And the curveball in the dirt outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. No score as we start the second. Buster has never quite figured out Wainwright. He's only 3 for 20 against him. Curveball, and he yanked it foul right past Roberto Kelly. So the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. The Dodgers are back home. They lost again yesterday to the Cubs at Wrigley Field. They're hosting Atlanta tonight at Dodger Stadium. So that game is later than this one. And that cutter off the outside. 2-2 to Buster.
It's another center field camera, John, that is located right straight over the pitcher's, in this case, right shoulder, so you can see all the movement.
Right to the first baseman, Adams. And Buster Posey is retired. 1 away.
Red Sox will be in town June 7th and 8th. That's a Tuesday and Wednesday. 2-game series. You can enjoy big savings by checking out David Ortiz. $34 tickets in honor of number 34's last regular season visit to AT&T Park. Enter the code Big Papi at checkout. He may change his mind, John.
I don't understand how he could be this great and still intend to retire. Brandon Belt takes ball 1.
Mike thinks that he just wants the farewell gifts. And then said, no, never mind.
1-1 now to Belt. Well, David Ortiz, he's hitting .335.
No.
He's got 16 homers. He leads the majors with 51 RBIs. Hit sharply, but very much foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Ortiz is second in the American League in on-base average, .415. Name a big category for offense. He leads the American League in doubles. He's like at the height of his powers right now. 3 infielders to the right of second for the Cardinals, and that sharp curveball, a check swing, as the ball bounced in the dirt. So third base is untended right now by the Cardinals. The Cardinals have Matt Carpenter over on the right side. There's the shortstop, Diaz, still at shortstop, but nobody at third. 2-2. Right into the defense. And Garcia throws out Brandon Belt. Hit sharply, but right into the defense. That's exactly what they figured he would do.
And that's Wainwright right now. He used to be a strikeout guy, but he'd rather get you out in less than 3 pitches.
So 2 down on ground balls. The Giants have hit 4 consecutive ground ball outs after the shallow pop fly by Span to start off the first inning. Piscotty turned into a great play. So here's Brandon Crawford. No score, second inning. And that's ball 1. Wainwright was talking about the Giants with Rick Hummel, the Hall of Fame baseball reporter for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, covering the Cardinals forever. That's pulled foul. 1-1 to Crawford. And was effusive in his praise of the Giants, and he says, you know, they're underappreciated. And he says people are here in the Midwest and the East, they don't know how good the Giants are. They always seem to be surprised when the Giants do well. He says, but they do just about everything well. And the guy he really wanted to point out was Brandon Crawford.
Yep, he did. He was very complimentary.
But now with 2 strikes, they're going to go into that overshift again. So Matt Carpenter moves to the right side. They leave the shortstop at shortstop, and it's the third baseman, which works out well because Carpenter used to be a second baseman every day. 1-2. Look out. And that got him. It didn't hit him hard. It grazed him, as they used to say in the old Western movies.
Yeah,
Dude, did that get you? Just grazed me.
Now that was usually a bullet.
It gets shot at. It just grazed me.
Yeah, no, I think I'm good. It's not bleeding too bad. But you saw it. It just got Crawford on more the jersey than anything else.
Just grazed him. So he goes to first. Matt Adams holding on the back against him, and here comes Gregor Blanco. That's the Giants' first base runner of the night. Blanco, 273 average, 339 on base percentage. No score in the second. Curveball stays off the outside. Anyway, it was interesting just to hear Wainwright's take on the Giants, but especially the idea that they're underappreciated. People don't really understand how good they are. And for him, Crawford typified who the Giants are. Great defensive player. He's turned into a guy who's an RBI producer, hits with some power. That's a called strike.
My take on that story, and it really was very nice for Wainwright to say all those things, but my take was Wainwright chose not to say those things about the Cubs. So he would rather talk about the Giants.
Cubs were sort of the read between the lines part of that story.
That's right.
And that's off the outside. Rick Hummel had the article today, sort of a preview of this series, but also of the history of this Giants-Cardinals rivalry. How they are the top 2 teams in National League history. for World Series championships. Cardinals #1 on that list among National League teams. Giants #2. And that's ruled a swing on the appeal. Third base umpire Chad Fairchild said, yeah, he swung at it. I don't think Blanco agreed. Well,
it's a swing.
Accurate call there by Fairchild.
Yeah.
2-2.
Gregor might go back and look at that tonight or tomorrow and realize that he went too far.
2-2 the count with Crawford at first. Right there on the black, knee high. First strikeout for Wainwright. Matt Adams will be coming up. Blanco not happy. In 1888, the San Francisco Daily Examiner published Casey at the Bat by Ernest Lawrence Thayer, and that was the first time anybody had ever seen it. The final stanza: oh, somewhere in this favored land, the sun is shining bright. The band is playing somewhere, and somewhere hearts are light, and somewhere men are laughing, and somewhere children shout. But there is no joy in Mudville. Mighty Casey has struck out. Sort of, we all kind of grew up with that. If you're a baseball fan. 0-2 to Matt Adams facing Johnny Cueto as we start the last of the second.
And it's not something where somebody wins at the end or somebody hits a home run at the end. Strikeout.
He struck out.
Such a tough game.
Which is what made it so great, I think. Why it has lasted all this time. Base hit to left. The Giants were shifted way over, playing him to pull, and he crossed him up and hit it right through the vacated shortstop hole. So Adams is aboard. Randall Grichuk will come up.
And Adams is a guy that you think more of, a guy that's going to just swing as hard as he can and try to hit the ball out of the park. It almost looked like he was trying to hit the ball in the hole.
Well, it goes a long way to explaining why he's hitting .316.
Yeah.
Got 6 home runs in 114 at bats, and that's not too bad. This is a double play ball. Crawford, there's one. Paddock, a double play, just got it. And Paddock did well with big Matt Adams, who's what, about 250, and he was coming in hard on him at second.
Well, you know now if you're at second base, they got to get down. And again, Grichuk going after that first pitch. Cardinals being very aggressive against Johnny Cueto.
And Johnny Cueto, as we know, as we've seen, he's a work in progress in every game. He sees what they're doing. He sees changes in their stances, in their approach.
Crawford's job, get the ball to Paddock as quickly as you can. And not only did he do that, he gave a good throw too.
Out of the sort of quick pitch slide step mode there for a called strike.
Didn't do it much because his back bothered him the last start.
Does it again there, a little bit low with the cutter. And it's 2-1 to Yadier Molina, the veteran catcher. 2 down, nobody on here in the second. No score.
See there, he's got a little ownage.
2 home runs. He has a lot of experience against Cueto. Now he gives the full delivery, turning his back on home plate, but he missed with it. 3-1. That's a called strike. 3-2. Truman Cutter on 3-1, 86 miles an hour. Cueto pitched last Sunday, the final game in Denver. Now the sort of that quick pitch approach with the slide step. 3-2. And he went only 6 innings in that game, and he had a very rugged 6th inning. Got out of a bases loaded jam and whatnot. But that we really didn't find out till after the game that the back was giving him some trouble. Back to the screen. A guy like Molina facing Johnny Cueto, there's not going to be much that he hadn't ever seen before from Johnny Cueto and vice versa. Matt Holliday, the same thing. Holliday's had 41 at bats. Molina 37 at bats. Interestingly, Molina has never walked. All that experience against Cueto, he has never walked against him.
That's amazing.
Cueto taking a long while looking at it. Posey now he nods his head. And now he has walked.
Stanley Cup Final Game 3, Sharks and Penguins. It'll be a 2-hour pregame. Coverage begins tomorrow at 3 p.m. on NBCSN. Coverage continues after the game. Sharks Playoff Central on CSN California. Good luck tomorrow.
Going to have to win their home games to get back in that series. Here's Greg Garcia. Now you don't know Greg so well. Maybe you knew him when he was really young, but you know his grandfather very well.
Well, I knew Greg's father very well. It was Dave Garcia Jr. Dave Garcia, third base coach when I got to the big leagues, and then a manager. Dave's still alive. He's about 95. Still very much watches the game the best he can. And this is his grandson. He's also got another grandson, Drew, who plays in the White Sox organization. Dave played, coached, managed around 75 years in professional baseball.
Right to Brandon Belt.
Dave never did that though.
Never once grounded out with a man on base.
Time.
On to the third. Jarrett Parker coming up. No score.
is brought to you by Amici's East Coast Pizzeria. When you want the best pizza in town, Amici's delivers.
Busch Stadium, St. Louis. No score in the game as we head to the third inning. Johnny Cueto for the Giants against Adam Wainwright, a real marquee pitching matchup. Wainwright back to work to tell you all about it. Dwayne Kuiper.
All right, John, and Parker takes high and wide. 1 ball and no strikes. Parker at 226. He's got a home run. He's got 3 driven in. In at third is Carpenter with Johnny Cueto on deck. Swinging a foul off the backstop. 1 ball and 1 strike. Mac Williamson got into Atlanta yesterday before the ball game. But Parker gets the start tonight. Big curveball and it misses. 2 balls and 1 strike.
I asked Brett Alexander, the Giants travel director, about when he was going to arrive in Atlanta from El Paso.
2-2.
Little cutter on the outside. And it was a 12-10 game yesterday, and his flight was due in at 11:20. And he said, but he hired Jeff Gordon to drive him to the ballpark.
There you go. 2-2 pitch to Parker. Down low. 3-2.
Then I thought, well, that's funny, but if you don't really know NASCAR very well, who's Jeff? Then Dave said maybe we should have used Dale Earnhardt Jr. Everybody knows that name. There's Matt. He did get there. Could have been used if needed.
Overshift is on now for Parker. Got him.
1 week from tonight, the Dodgers will be back in town to start a 3-game series. Starting next Friday, the 10th through the 12th. The series kicks off on Friday with the Giants giving away orange rally rags to the first 30,000 fans, courtesy of Macy's. Some special times next Saturday, a week from tomorrow. The 11th is a 4:15 start, and Sunday the 12th a 5:30 start.
Cueto with a swing and a miss. Hit 2 for 25 on the season.
There are tickets available for that Giants Dodgers series.
Cueto went after it. It's 0-2. Well, along the lines of the Dale Earnhardt, you saw the question the reporter asked Bumgarner. Strike 3 call. How long of a drive is it from your hometown to the ballpark in Atlanta? He said, oh, well, it's about a 4-hour drive. You can get there in 3. Wainwright with 3 strikeouts in a row.
I was really surprised. Bumgarner said that yesterday were the best mechanics that he'd had in a year and a half.
Yeah. Here's Denard Span, who hit a pop-up to right. Piscotty made a nice catch coming in, and there's a double clutch throw in the dirt by the shortstop Diaz, picked out by Adams, and that's going to end the inning. So Wainwright and Cueto getting outs fast. It's 0-0.
stories in San Francisco Giants history. The pitcher and catcher hitting a home run in the same inning as Bumgarner and Posey did yesterday in Atlanta. That is pretty rare. Only the 5th time as the San Francisco Giants that's ever happened. The previous time was 4 years ago, and it was Buster Posey and Matt Cain in the same inning. Also, Russ Ortiz and Benito Santiago, and back in the 70s, Bob Knepper and the Sheik and Juan Marichal and Tom Haller did it back in 1966.
The Sheik did it with Knepper?
Yep. 1979.
I love the Sheik.
Against the Braves.
Wainwright taps it foul. It's 0-2.
Marichal and Haller, by the way, one note on that. They both homered in the 9th inning of the game in 66. And Marichal's ended the game, a walk-off homer against a great relief pitcher named Elroy Face.
Yeah, absolutely. 0-2 to Wainwright. 5 for 19. He can hit a little bit. And that pitch is in tight. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Wainwright fouls it off of Buster Posey. New baseball for Buster.
Cueto knows this better than anybody, but you have to pitch Wainwright like a real hitter. He's got 8 RBIs already this year and a home run, a .263 average. He leads all pitchers this season in RBIs. Has 5 extra base hits.
Tap foul. You're talking about the Sheik. The Sheik was very colorful, very funny. He has a son, Mike Jr., that lives out in Pleasanton with his wife Melanie. They have 3 boys, and they're all like Grandpa. This has popped up. It's going to be a souvenir, and it's out of play. So that would mean it's very challenging for Mike and Melanie, because Grandpa was fun, I got to tell you. It's a good little catcher, and worked in the Giants front office for a long time. 1-2 pitch to Wainwright, and Wainwright rolls this one to Crawford, and Crawford's going to throw him out. Crawford might have thought about making Wainwright run a little bit, but after he said all those nice things in the newspaper. There's Dave Fleming. Dave will be in innings 4, 5, and 6. John will head over to the KMBR side. Mike is taking the weekend off, and he'll be back with us on Tuesday against the Red Sox at AT&T Park. So, Mike, if you're watching, we miss you, because you usually pick up lunch here in St. Louis.
Really miss them at mealtime.
Yeah, we do. Here's Carpenter, who takes a strike, and it's 0-1. Also, after the game, he's pretty quick to pick up the bar tab.
Really miss him after the games.
During the games, not so much. Here's the 0-1 to Carpenter, and it's down low. 1 ball and 1 strike. Hey, Giants are in good shape tonight because Woody's here. Kirk Reeder in attendance.
See, that's not far from here.
Hit on the ground. Belt's got it on the dive. He'll throw to Cueto, and it's high. So Carpenter's aboard. Cueto got a glove on it. He's going to go over and talk to Belt and say, look, we're buds, okay? And as you see the throw, and the throw was a little high also. You know, that throw came right about the time Cueto looked down to see where that bag was. And it's not going to be an easy call for the official score. But I do think you got to give it to Belt. It's an error on Brandon Belt.
But when we showed the replay there, we did watch Cueto go right over to Bell. And they talked about it.
Mike just texted me he's buying in Tampa.
Can't wait for that trip. Have a day off there too.
And Pittsburgh. He doesn't know that yet.
What about the day off before the first game at Tampa Bay? Come on.
Diaz waits, and there's a line shot. Span is over in the gap, but he's going to make the catch. Tell you what, this Diaz kid, we haven't seen him. He swings the bat.
He was leading the league in hitting back in April. He got off to a real fast start, so you don't know which is the real Diaz. Came into this game hitting .328. So he hasn't completely let it all fall apart, but he was hitting .450 there for the first 2-3 weeks of the season.
Matt Holliday hit a pop-up to Panic in his only other at bat. That came in the first. One ball and no strikes.
Maybe Cueto, when he went over to talk to Brandon Belt, he said, just remember, I'm not like Bumgarner. I'm just a little guy. When you make that throw to me,
that's right.
That would have been fine for Bumgarner or Kane or almost any of our other guys. Samardzija.
The adjustment here as that pitch is low, 2-0.
And what's Cueto, about 5'10", 5'11"?
Not very big.
Matt Holliday's another guy who's had a lot of experience facing Johnny Cueto. He's had 41 career at bats against him. And it came into the game hitting .300 lifetime against Cueto. Well, this is what happened the last time he was up. He went to a 3-0 count.
Yeah, he did. It's Piscotty who's on deck. Three balls and one strike. Holliday 12 for 41 against Cueto lifetime with 4 doubles. If he's going to lean on a pitch, he'll lean on this one if he likes it. He goes around, I believe. No. Marvin Hudson said he did not. Here's Piscotty, who struck out in the first. So an error and a walk, and it leads to the cleanup hitter hitting here with 2 outs in the third in a 0-0 ball game.
And this is the kind of a spot where the Cardinals have been the best in baseball again this year. As a team, they're hitting .302 with runners in scoring position. That was a close, and it ticked the bat.
Yeah, it did.
I thought he might have just called it a strike anyway, but didn't need to. It ticked the bat. Piscotty, by the way, runners in scoring position. The team is doing real well. Piscotty is on another planet. He's hitting .500, 24 for 48 in spots like this.
And that's a base hit. Parker gets to it. His throw is going to be cut off, and he does it again. It's 1-0 Cardinals, so the error comes back to hurt Johnny Cueto.
Parker didn't seem to know where he was going to throw the ball at first.
Yeah, I don't know if he couldn't get it out of his glove.
He's looking up at the big high definition screen here at Busch Stadium. But he didn't immediately come up firing to the plate here. Double clutch.
He did, and then I mean he really has a strong arm, and he kind of lollipopped that one.
Adams singled in the second. He hit a roller to the left side that made it to the outfield. Here he takes low, 1 ball and no strikes.
Now, had he come up throwing immediately and made a good strong throw, I don't know if he would have gotten him.
Yeah.
Although Carpenter's not that fast. He's not like most leadoff men.
Adams with a swing and a foul to the backstop. Adams got 25 runs batted in, 6 home runs. Holiday at second. Pitch is wide, 2-1. I don't know if Carpenter thought that he was going to either score easily or maybe Parker wasn't going to throw, but he didn't start to turn it on until he rounded third.
Very unusual. 2 outs. The play is to just break as hard as you can as soon as the ball's hit. Which also tells you that Parker might well have had a play on it.
Out of play, 2-2.
By the way, Adams is another guy, and there are a lot of Cardinals the same way, the way the team has been hitting in these kinds of situations where a hit could mean a run. He's hitting .412 for the season in this kind of a situation. They did this, when was it, a couple years ago? They set a record. They went to the World Series and played Boston. I think it was 3 years ago, 2013. That year, they set an all-time major league record. They hit .330 as a team with runners in scoring position for the whole season.
They were unbelievable. 3-2. Now the runners will move. On deck is Grichuk. And it's high, so Cueto with his second walk in the inning. I suppose he's going to go out. I'm sure Buster's going to ask him if he's doing okay health-wise. Remember, his back was an issue. When Cueto's walking people, you start to get a little concerned.
He's walked 3 in the first 3 innings of this game, not 2 in this inning. He'd only walked 14 in 82 innings before tonight. So what's that, about 1.5 walks per 9 innings?
Grichuk hit into a double play. So Cueto's trying to get his team off the field here in the third. And a strike, and it's 0-1. Another one of the young, talented outfielders for these Cardinals. That fastball at 91 inside.
Tight spot early in this game, but Wainwright's been very strong so far. Cardinals have thoughts of a big inning.
2 balls and a strike.
Cueto looks a little irritated with himself there for not making a better pitch.
Swing and a miss. 2-2. Really abbreviated his windup, and even at that, he still threw that at 92.
This will be his 30th pitch of this inning, a real high stress inning.
Foul back.
So that time Pritchett got a piece of it as Cueto added to that fastball.
And he added a lot of motion to it as well.
He did.
Looked like a guy who might be in the NBA Finals right now. He gave a little head and shoulder fake. And
Little Louis Tia. And another 2-2 pitch. Here it is. And another foul ball. You see Pritchett reach out like he did to at least stay alive. And watch how Pritchett reaches out, and that pitch is not a strike. It would make you think that you might have something on the inside part of the plate. And now it's 3-2. Runners will be on the move. And the payoff. Here it is. Tapped slowly to Cueto. He's got it. He throws, and they got him, and that's going to end the inning. So Cueto limits the damage. Dave Fleming will be in. We'll see John back here in the 7th.
On CSN Bay Area is brought to you locally by Energy Upgrade California. It's easy to stay golden at energyupgradeca.org.
Cardinals with a 1-0 lead as we go to the 4th. Dave Fleming here. Welcome, Dave.
Atta babe. Trying to channel,
No, for a second there, I really did think it was Mike. There's a call strike to Panic. Panic, Duffy, and Posey. Giants do not have a hit in this game. Crawford was just nicked on the uniform. He was the only base runner. Panic is going to change all of that with a single in the center field. And that'll bring up Duffy.
Did you enjoy that bottom of the 3rd?
The only thing I hate about innings like that is because of an error, Cueto had to throw about an extra 20 pitches, maybe even more than that. And it cost him a run.
Yep.
But he did go over and have a nice conversation with Brandon Belt. 21 pitches after the error. maybe added another 18 or 19.
I mean, Cueto could have helped Belt out. It wasn't a perfect feed, but
I think he looked down at the last second. Duffy takes inside for a ball.
I thought you could have charged Cueto with the error, frankly.
Yeah. Either way.
Still, point remains.
Duffy is hit into 9 double plays. Karam off of Wainwright. Carpenter's throw is in time, so Duffy can't catch a break. Although if Wainwright catches that, it is going to be a double play. So this is your basic 1-5-3. But you got the beef coming up, and now you got the tying run in scoring position, and here's Buster Posey. Buster hit the ball well in the second, but he just happened to hit it right at Adams, who was playing way off the line like he is now. Outside corner strike, and it's 0-1.
Cueto may be wondering from the dugout, some of those pitches, those borderline pitches on the corners, have not been going his way. That was a borderline pitch.
Panic with his lead. And that pitch chases Buster Posey off the inside part of the plate. Did you see our shot at Woody?
I did. He hasn't texted me yet. Maybe he's texted you.
I haven't looked. Maybe I should. I think I'm going to text him, and I'm going to say, Woody, you're dyeing your hair.
And it ain't a great look.
He's the best.
He is the best.
2-1 to Buster Posey. 3-1 to Buster Posey.
Usually by now we would have heard from him, because he likes to, he likes to make sure everybody knows he's coming to the yard. He's here. I think he likes it when we put him on TV.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what, he rarely was ever in a bad mood. Posey checks his swing on a breaking ball. 3-2. The Woodster still bragging to everybody that he's got more wins in the big leagues than Bumgarner.
I would be bragging about that too if it were true.
Bumgarner does have a few more home runs than he does. 3-2 to Buster Posey. And Buster wraps one into center field. That's a base hit. They're going to hold up Panic. They held him up at the last second, and that'll put runners at the corners.
Wow. I thought Panic got a pretty good jump. I am surprised that he couldn't score on that hit.
Did get a pretty good jump. Maybe just a little hesitation, but Roberto Kelly playing it safe with 1 out. Now it's up to Belt to make sure that you can get Panic in.
Yeah, and you do have the guy who's been the hottest hitter on the road trip. That's Brandon Belt.
Breaking ball, and it's 0-1.
I mean, I think based on that, it was a good decision by Roberto Kelly to stop him.
And remember, Roberto doesn't know what the throw is going to look like. Oh, and 1 to Brandon Belt with Brandon Crawford on deck. Panic at third, Posey at first. Swinging a foul, it's 0-2.
I mean, generally, I think if your runner is just getting to third and rounding third, and the outfielder has the ball and is getting ready to throw, then you got to put the stop sign on.
He's got a pretty good arm.
Yeah, he does.
Belt grounded out to second in the second. And that just eases Belt off the plate. 1-2. It's not a fastball that Wainwright wanted to throw for a strike. Not 0-2.
No. And it makes you think it's a setup pitch.
It makes you think he wants to get Belt out with the curveball. That or the cutter in. And a base hit to right field. Posey is going to challenge Piscotty. Here's the throw, not in time. Belt comes through, tie game, lead run at third. And it did look like Wainwright tried to come back in. And Belt would have nothing of it.
And I'm surprised by that.
So there was maybe that cutter in.
Belt sees fewer of those pitches than ever before because early in the year they were pitching him inside and he was hammering the ball.
I don't know, David. Looked like a straight fastball.
Yeah.
So here's Crawford.
And really good base running. You pointed it out by Buster to get to third.
Yeah, absolutely. Crawford was hit by a pitch in the second. And the pitch. Swing and a foul. Crawford with a good rip. And it's 0-1. See the numbers for Brandon Crawford. I would be very upset if he did not make the National League All-Star team, and then I'd be even more upset if he didn't start.
Based on the voting, he may not start, but he should definitely be on the team.
Curveball, and there's a strike, nothing at 2.
Well, and his counterpart with the Cardinals is almost like the perfect counter example to Crawford. You look at the offensive numbers of Diaz and they look good, but the difference in those two players defensively is night and day. And at that position it makes a gigantic difference, and Crawford's offensive numbers are good.
Curveball and a base hit into right field. Posey scores. Belt's going to stop at second, and the Giants lead 2-1. So Crawford waited nicely on that breaking ball. And now for the Giants, that's their 4th single in this inning. And here's Gregor Blanco.
And I think Kipe.
I think he was looking for it.
Yeah, I do too.
And he waited on it perfectly, and you got the hole.
He's a good curveball hitter.
So here's Blanco, who struck out looking in the second.
He's been their best hitter in those kind of spots. I mean, that's a month.
Wow. So Blanco a chance to add on here in the 4th. And he shoots it foul and out of play.
It makes a difference that Buster went to third, because you got Piscotty's strong arm. Now he was throwing toward third, but if Posey's headed home, I mean, that's a chance for a play at the plate on a ball like that.
Yeah, it was excellent base running. Excellent base running by Belt too to stop at second. Here's Blanco. And the 0-1. And it's outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Sometimes it is excellent base running when you don't go for the extra bag.
I am with you. Giants made too many outs on the bases, too many of them.
And the 1-1 to Blanco. 2 balls and 1 strike. So Wainwright, who's cruising along, had not allowed a hit through 3. Panic opened it up with a base hit, and the Giants have had 3 more singles after that.
Down low, 3-1. No swing. And now Blanco's got a chance to sit on a pitch that he likes.
This is a big pitch in this game. You get toward the bottom part of the order, but you got a good hitter, good hitters count. Be picky. Try to hit one hard.
Just move the line along. And we'll see what Wainwright does here. 3-1. He paints him on the outside corner. 3-2. Blanco has not been very happy with Jim Joyce.
No.
But you got to really get over it fast because it's 3-2. The Brandons are on base. Great crowd tonight, huh?
Fantastic.
And a fly ball to right, but it's right at Piscotty. He's going to make the catch. 2 outs. Cardinals haven't figured it out. They have taught their fans to wear red. They have red seats. You can't tell if the seats are empty or not.
It's the greatest optical illusion of all time.
It's unbelievable.
Every seat filled.
You pick out an empty seat.
Yeah, except for those, and maybe a few of those up there, and a few others.
Oh my goodness. Here's Parker, who struck out in the 3rd. Parker with a swing and a miss. Parker is going to have his hands full with guys like Wainwright because they pitched a long time and they figure out hitters. And if Wainwright has figured out Parker, then Parker's going to have to make a few adjustments. It's now 0-2.
Well, the one thing about Jared is, I mean, in this matchup, you figure Wainwright's got the edge. If he leaves one of those up, and that one was a little bit up, I mean, he definitely has the power to punish a mistake.
But Wainwright now in the driver's seat, 0-2. Belton, Crawford on base. 1-2.
I mean, that's the one right there that Bruce Bochy's talked about. He thinks Parker has made some progress. Got to learn how to lay off that off-speed stuff in the dirt. I mean, because they have consistently buried it down there against this guy. And he's gotten a little bit better at that.
One and two. We'll see if Parker gets something to hit. That'll end the inning. Giants on 4 signals take the lead. It'll be Molina to lead things off.
on CSN Bay Area is brought to you by Heffernan Insurance Brokers. Insurance and financial services for you and your business. Visit hefins.com.
Giants fans, come out to Pete's Coffee on Tuesday, June 7th from noon to 1. Giants players Denard Span and Javier Lopez will serve up coffee drinks at Pete's celebrity fundraising events benefiting the Denard Span Foundation and Juma. Span will be at the Ferry Building, Lopez at Pete's on Chestnut Street in San Francisco. And while you're there, if you spend $20, you're going to get a free limited edition co-branded coffee mug. 2-1 Giants. Here's Molina. And Molina fouls it out of play. Molina drew a walk in the second. Cueto, who doesn't walk many, has walked 3 in this game, and he's had a number of 3-2 counts as Molina pops this one up. It's at Belt, and Belt will make the catch in foul territory. 1 out.
Well, it seems like the kind of night where that guy is just going to try to survive, because he doesn't have the sharpness that we've seen over and over again. The walks are the biggest example of that, but it's been a struggle for him through 3 innings without giving up a lot of hard contact.
Yeah, we've been watching to see if there's any sign that his back is an issue. It's hard for us to tell, but it may be. Here's Greg Garcia, Dave Garcia's grandson, as we like to call him. Bounced out to first in the second inning. And Greg Garcia's got video game numbers. He's 13 for 25. Strike to even the count at 1 ball and 1 strike.
Well, you do wonder if it's getting a little awkward. I mean, those numbers have dictated it, but he's taken at bats away from Colton Wong, who's the young star second baseman. But those two were college teammates. Colton Wong was the second baseman. Greg was the shortstop, University of Hawaii. Now they're big league teammates, and Colton Wong's sitting on the bench while he's playing.
I'm sure they got along very well in college. 3-1 with Wainwright on deck.
Now you can see Cueto just frustrated, not happy.
He's trying to grind it out here in the 4th inning. He did in the 3rd. And the walk.
Well, it's the kind of night where you appreciate what Madison Bumgarner did yesterday, because the bullpen was taxed the night before, and bullpen's going to have to be into this game. Cueto, a lot of times he makes the bullpen irrelevant. Tonight's not going to be one of those nights.
Well, Wainwright, who is a pretty good hitter, but you would think with Carpenter on deck he would be laying down a bunt. And he bunts it to Cueto, and Cueto was going to go to second, and he couldn't pick it up. So it ends up being a sacrifice for Wainwright. Watch Cueto as he circles it to go to second, and then realizes he's got a lot of time, and he gets the out at first. So now Carpenter will step up.
It is nice to be experienced enough to where you don't panic when something like that happens.
Carpenter reached on that air on the ground ball that Belt and Cueto could not come up with it. He's their leading RBI guy. And first base is open. 1 ball and no strikes. No overshift, but Crawford is playing behind the bag at second, and I think Cueto's just pitching around him. Diaz to follow. Cueto off the back of the mound as he does some adjusting to various parts of his uniform. 2 balls and no strikes. Three and 0. Three and 1. Cueto comes in with a. Let's see, are you going to swing at this fastball?
And I'm a little surprised he even did that, because I think you're right. This is a see if he will chase kind of at bat.
Yeah, well, we'll see now. 3 and 1. And the walk. Dave Urgetty's going to give Cueto a breather. There isn't anything here that he can tell Cueto. So he's just going to go out and give him a rest. It always amazes me when we do an interview with Johnny Cueto. He uses Erwin Higueras, who's in our PR department, our interpreter. But when Buster and Cueto talk, it's like they're speaking the same language.
Somehow Erwin doesn't have to be down there for that.
And I get it that it's baseball language, but and these two really have been on the same page since he arrived in Scottsdale.
Since day one, I think.
And it has been fun to watch.
Posey's got the amazing streak of catching Bumgarner every single start, but I mean, the connection that Posey and Bumgarner have is like the connection that these two guys have now already.
Absolutely. First pitch low to Diaz. He hit a fly ball to right. He hit a line drive to Span in center.
I think Posey liked that last pitch.
And there's a called strike. So 93 on the outside corner.
Pretty good.
A couple of walks and a couple of base runners. And bounce to the second baseman panic, and Cueto is going to get out of it, and that'll end the inning. 5th inning coming up, and Cueto will hit first. See the. All right, it's a 2-1 lead for the Giants. And Johnny Cueto will lead things off. Cueto struck out looking in the third. And here's Dave Fleming.
For what?
To do the play-by-play.
Oh. Cueto showed a bunt and takes a strike.
I forgot. Sorry.
Oh, does it really matter? A little half swing and a one-hopper. Cueto is going to give up.
Greater coverage of baseball is brought to you by T-Mobile. The 2012 NLCS Game 5 in St. Louis. Giants lose and go home. This was a first-inning double play, and it got Zito out of the jam. Zito went on to go 7 2/3, 6 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. He had an RBI bunt single in the 7th, and oh, by the way, the Giants won 5-0, and then they won the next game, and then they won the next one after that. And who saved the season? Barry Zito.
He had his moments with the Giants. That's the signature moment for all time. That's the game that everybody will remember.
Almost topped by his next start.
Yeah, that's true. Outpitched Justin Verlander.
And got a hit.
Ball 1 to Denard Span, who was 0 for 2. That's a strike right there on the outside.
John was talking about Rick Hummel's story today about the Giants and the Cardinals and some of the history. And Mike Matheny said in that article that was the game that hurt him most.
Of all the games, even more than Game 6 of, well, yeah, he was the manager in the World Series. He was. Hmm. 2-1. Span up the middle. Diaz. 2 down. Our cold hard facts brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. The most common NLCS matchups. Reds and Pirates have met 5 times. Phillies and Dodgers have met 5 times. And the Giants and the Cardinals 4 times. And a lot of those recent. So the most recent history between 2 teams in the National League at the highest level, Giants Cardinals.
Yep.
That is a big part of why these games feel so big. Curveball to Panic for ball 1.
And the one they didn't win, 87, that's our broadcast partners' worst memory here in St. Louis.
So that's the equivalent for Mike. Our Mike. Panic. Caught by Diaz. Now that's too bad. Panic hit it hard. It's out number 3. The Giants end up going down in order. A little frustration from the Giants second baseman. On to the bottom of the 5th. Big hitters coming up against Cueto. 2-1 Giants.
Baseball on CSN Bay Area is brought to you by PG&E, together building a better California.
What a night in St. Louis. We're at Busch Stadium. Game 1 of a 3-game series. Giants lead the Cardinals 2-1. And the bottom of the 5th inning, Matt Holliday leading off against Cueto. It's ball 1. Holliday's been ahead of the count the whole game against Cueto. Each of his first 2 at-bats, it was 3-0. So there's a strike. Holliday upsetted himself. Might have missed a pitch to hit. He's popped out and he's walked, which he doesn't do all that often. Holliday wants to swing the bat. Been one of the best hitters in the National League for a long time. Did he go? Yes, he did. Strike 2. Cardinals got a run in the 3rd. Giants answered with 2 in the 4th. Holliday wouldn't swing at that one. 2-2. And for Cueto, each inning has had its own set of problems, but particularly the last 2 have been high stress, high effort. Only the 1 run allowed. He could use a quick inning. That full swivel. He misses inside.
Well, it doesn't appear it's going to happen.
No, nothing's easy tonight. We've seen a lot of that. Fighting himself. But this big pitch, 3-2. Holliday hits one down the right field line. Long run for Parker, and it's foul. Can't quite get there. Holliday lives to see another pitch. Parker's got pretty good tools out there. I mean, he's got a strong throwing arm. He's got some speed. I think defensively he can do a Hunter Pence impersonation. Another full count pitch, but first time. Heard lots of Giants players today being asked about Pence's injury and the timeline one now, which is a lot longer than the Giants had hoped it would be. That one is on the ground toward 3rd. Duffy's got it. Throws out a Holliday, 1 away. One of the themes we heard from many Giants players was we don't necessarily have to make up for Hunter's absence with offense, with home runs. I mean, we can do it with the pitching that we've been getting, and we heard several Giants players say with defense too, play as good as you can play defensively and try to help make up for the loss of that guy that way.
Well, one thing, and I said it with Greg and Bill Lasky, you can't say let's just tread water now and play well until you get Pence back. You can't say that. You got to do more than that. This was the injury, the chopper he hit to 3rd, and he just tore it.
Yep. The entire tendon attached at the bottom of that hamstring tore completely, not partial, total tear. Which in some ways they say, now I am no expert on this, but in some ways they say it can almost be better for a clean recovery.
Right.
They're going to remove it. It's not like they just take it out. Foul ball, 1-2 on a high cutter. Stephen Piscotty. Just in case you thought, you know what, the Cardinals haven't developed enough good players over these last several years. Here's another one.
Yeah, Cardinals are kind of the opposite of the Giants. Giants develop pitchers
and infielders.
Cardinals,
a lot of outfielders.
Yep.
A lot of hitters. 2-2. Went to Amador Valley High School, this guy.
Cueto now is showing signs that his back is a little stiff.
Yeah, you're all right about that. He says he's okay, but he's not okay.
No, he's trying to stretch it out, and he's given himself some time to try to get through this inning. Look, he wants to get out, so he also wants to qualify.
Good pitch, but Piscotty laid off. One thing about the way this schedule sets up, Giants have had so few off days, relatively speaking. But Cueto gets through this start tonight. He will have 2 extra days of rest before he pitches again because of the weird schedule next week. 3-2. Piscotty hits a ball, and Cueto couldn't even bend down to field it. Panic throws out Piscotty, 2 down. Well, Warriors playoff central. Warriors Cavs game 2 coverage begins Sunday 3:30 p.m. on CSN Bay Area. Before and after every Warriors playoff game, you got Papa St. Roz and Kalena providing in-depth coverage. The home of the authentic Warriors fan is CSN. What a game last night. Not in the way that we expected it, but 3 wins away from a second straight championship.
They were fun to watch.
Cueto may be 1 out away from finishing tonight. I think that's at least a possibility.
Well, according to what they did the last start, he did a lot of stretching in between innings. Maybe they'll try to do that again to see if he can go back out.
Yeah, it could be that if you give him that break, he can pitch another one. The 0-1 to Adams. Good fastball, strike 2. He's got a chance to have his best inning of the night.
Yeah.
And look, the Giants think it's just a stiffness, like a back tightness issue. It's not an injury per se. Fastball off the inside. He's just having his own personal game out there. Talking to himself. There's nobody like him. 1-2 in the dirt. Adams wouldn't chase.
It's like your son David invites some friends over, and there's 8 or 9 kids playing, but there's one kid playing all by himself.
Yeah,
he's got another game going.
You guys play hide and seek. I'm over here. 2-2 on the ground to short. And Cueto, through all of that, has his first 1-2-3 inning. Take a minute to get loosened up. It's been that kind of night. 2-1 Giants.
For a Giant reunion on Saturday, June 11th, as the Giants welcome back the 1986 team. Get to the park early. Special pregame celebration. That'll start at 3:30. And the first 40,000 fans are going to receive a commemorative 1986 Giants team card presented by Topps. sfgiants.com/tickets for more information.
Well, I don't know what that means. Cueto's going, maybe he's just going down to get stretched out to try to pitch another inning. Matt Duffy in the middle of the order coming up against Adam Wainwright here in the 6th. Duffy 0 for 2. That curve spins in nicely. 70 miles an hour.
Well, you don't have to get the bullpen ready, because if Cueto does leave due to an injury, then that reliever gets as much time as he needs.
That's true. Another curve. That one is pulled to left field. Holliday on the move. One down. Well, they say Matt Holliday's really struggling defensively. That was pretty good play.
That was. Plus, Duffy's thinking, you know, I've played against a lot of teams over the last month where that left fielder was nowhere to be seen. Here, however, Holliday got a good jump. There's no doubt that he's much thinner. And whether that helped him catch that or not, I don't know. But he did make a nice running catch.
So here's Buster. He swings at the curveball and skies one to left center field. Might have just missed one. Grichuk, 2 down.
I would say that you are correct on that.
I think he was looking for that pitch.
I think he was looking breaking ball. I think he got it, and I think he just missed it.
2 down.
And right now the Giants aren't really giving Cueto a lot of time to stretch that back out.
Yeah. If he was hoping to do a yoga session, it's going to have to be a short one.
Very short.
A couple downward dogs and go get them. Here's Brandon Belt. Belt had a big hit in the Giants' 2-run rally. I guess they were all big, 4 singles. But with 1 out, runner at third, he had the base hit to knock in the tying run and set up the second run. Not just a sac fly or a ground out to get a run home. Crawford also knocked in a run with a base hit. Belt to left field. Holliday doing the dance underneath it. Now he's all set up. And that's a 6-pitch inning against the middle of the order. Belt retired. So are the Giants. 2-1. Giants lead.
Brought to you by Toyota, the full-line automaker with the longest-lasting vehicles in America. Toyota, let's go places. And by Xfinity. X1 from Xfinity will change the way you experience TV.
We're back here in St. Louis. 2-1 Giants leading the Cardinals, bottom of the 6th. Dave Fleming, Dwayne Kuiper. John Miller will be back for the 7th and onward. On the television side, our partner Mike Krukow somewhere in the Sierra Nevadas, kicking up his feet and hopefully watching some Giants baseball.
McCallum 12
on the rocks.
for him.
Take a weekend, Mike. We got it. We'll drop all the grab some pines and all that stuff that is necessary in a Giants Cardinals series. First pitch to Randall Grichuk with Osich getting ready in the bullpen. 95 tough pitches for Cueto. Clearly not feeling 100%, but really gutting it out. And maybe the best example of that of all was the Grichuk at bat in the third.
Yeah.
And that feels like the key moment in this game where the Cardinals had scored a run. They had the bases loaded. Cueto had walked two, was laboring, got to a full count. Man, just missing. Wainwright's been getting pitches in that general vicinity. Not that I'm saying Jim Joyce is trying to be unfair, but I think that has been called a strike. That one bounces over Cueto. Grichuk is fast, but Panik makes the play nicely. But that third inning, he got the out. Cueto did. Only one run allowed. Sun Hwan Oh, the right-hander, warming up in the Cardinals bullpen with the pitcher spot kind of looming. You wonder whether Mike Matheny's preparing for that possibility. Yadier Molina. In some ways, this is almost more impressive than Cueto's dominant shutouts, where he's just blown through some lineups. This Cardinals team, they lead the league in runs. Molina to right, well hit. Parker jumps up and he makes a catch. 2 down.
Nice play.
Really nice play. Now that's our Ford right choice.
Well, this one looked like it might have enough to tie the game, but Parker, he kind of got back in time to make the leap. And whether he had to jump or not, nobody knows. Nobody cares. He caught it.
And that's kind of the choice on a play like that. Do I sprint back to the spot? Do I try to time it, use the wall? 2 down. That's a good Hunter Pence imitation in right field.
Yeah. A little energy out of right field.
Greg Garcia with 2 outs and nobody on. Pitch number 101 and a base hit past the reach of Panik. Well, here is Wainwright. So maybe for Matheny it was a deke. I don't know. They're going to hit Wainwright.
Yeah, unless maybe the inning goes a different way where the leadoff hitter gets on.
Yeah.
You got people in scoring position.
I think that's a possibility. Runner at first, 2 down. Still don't have a great chance to score that run, even if you use a pinch hitter. First and second, 1 out. Maybe Wainwright's out of the game. Ball 1. Main thing for Cueto here is to make sure this is a good hitting pitcher. He got more extra base hits and more runs batted in than Bumgarner. That gives you an idea.
All right, well, that got my attention.
Try to keep Garcia as close as possible. Wainwright smoked one foul. Now your attention peaked up even a little more.
Yeah, I mean, that was 91. I don't think it's where Cueto wanted to throw it. But I think Bruce Bochy's just trying to get this last inning out of Cueto before he goes to the bullpen.
Yeah, and last hitter probably Matt Carpenter, lefty on deck. Osich has sat down. It's Lopez with 2 outs where you can target the one left-handed hitter with Lopez. Maybe the bubble gum can give him a little extra energy to finish off the 6th. Wainwright swings at that off-speed pitch. Strike 2.
Well, look, we're talking about 104 pitches.
Yeah.
With a back that's been a bit iffy. And it's been iffy, at least from what we can tell, over the last couple of innings, and maybe much sooner than that.
1-2, Garcia runs. Posey's throw right there, the tag. They got him. Wow.
He threw a Thurman Munson sidearm sinker.
And Cueto loved it. What a gutty performance by Cueto. Great throw. Thurman would be proud. John will come back to join Kipe. Cueto's pumped. Giants lead 2-1.
Game summary brought to you by your local Toyota dealer. We talked about Cueto and Wainwright. Well, that's the story. It's a 2-1 lead for the Giants. Both pitchers have allowed 4 hits, and the Giants with 4 singles in the 4th inning. It's the only inning where they've got any hits, and they lead 2-1. Is Brandon Crawford's going to lead things off? It'll be Crawford, Blanco, and Parker. John Miller is back. Is Wainwright throws, and Crawford shoots it up the middle for a base hit. So Crawford with his 2nd hit. He knocked in a run with a single in the 4th. He's been on base 3 times.
Well, if you're going to only get singles, best to bunch them up.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't spread 4 singles out. Doesn't do you a whole lot of good.
4 singles spread out. That's a shutout in the making. But 4 singles in 1 inning.
That's good.
That's a rally.
We just got a brief glimpse of Connor Gillespie with a helmet on and a bat in his hand. Cueto is due to hit 4th in this inning. Here's Blanco. Blanco is 0 for 2. And Blanco takes outside, 1 ball and no strikes. There's Gillespie.
Well, Cueto had his quickest inning of the game. Buster Posey helped him get it with spectacular throw.
Unbelievable.
Nailing Garcia, trying to steal to end the inning.
I called the play a Thurman Munson throw. And for those of you who never had a chance to watch Thurman Munson play, he made that kind of throw all the time.
Thurman Munson was a great Yankee catcher. And he died much too early in a tragic private airplane accident.
There's a called strike.
And he did not have a classic catcher's arm. Buster Posey does.
Absolutely.
Buster Posey got a great arm, one of the best in the game. But Thurman Munson's idea was, well, I don't have a great arm. His idea was just get rid of the ball as quickly as possible and try to get the guy that way. And that's what Buster did, and it worked.
1-1 to Blanco. On the ground foul. The other note about Thurman, he lived in Akron, and towards the end of his career, before his untimely death, he used to fly back to Akron in his jet after Yankee night games at home, and he'd fly back the next morning. He wanted to fly home to spend the night at home. He's a good guy. I thought the world of Thurman Munson. Blanco with a half swing, and he has not figured out Wainwright. Watch the throw. Here's the throw. Watch how he just gets rid of it sidearm. And you got that little tail. It tails into the runner. And all Panik had to do was just keep that glove right there. And if Thurman was alive, he'd love that.
And that's the way he did it. And there might have been a few coaches around the country who said, that's not the way you do it.
Don't do it like Thurman.
And Thurman might have agreed with him.
Absolutely. Here's Parker. Parker's 0 for 2. Wainwright's got him figured out, or at least he thinks he does. And then pitches low, 1 ball and no strikes.
And he's throwing him fastballs, and they're never strikes. And mostly he's throwing him breaking balls.
Yep.
And most of those are not strikes either, but Parker's had a hard time laying off.
Gillespie is indeed now in the on-deck circle. And that's the one there where if you're Parker, it's not a fastball, probably a cutter. He lets it go by. It's a 1 ball and 1 strike. Wainwright now with 93 pitches. There's Gillespie.
Cardinal bullpen is working. The South Korean right-hander Sungwon Oh warming up.
Crawford with his lead. He does not go. And it's outside. 2 balls and 1 strike.
There's O. And he has been an excellent addition to this Cardinal bullpen. The South Korean League, the KBO.
3-1. Yeah, I was looking at his numbers, John. He's got 37 strikeouts in 27 innings.
And usually those are the first things you look for, especially with a relief pitcher. Just how tough is he to hit? Well, that tells you pretty much what you need to know about O. He's only allowed 14 hits in 27 2/3 innings.
Here's the 3-1. Swing and a miss. Snap throw to first. Crawford gets back. Did Adams ding Crawford on the tag? He may have. See what Adams did. He, without looking, he swiped. Yeah, he clipped him right in the jaw.
He also put his foot right in the way of Crawford's right hand. Kind of blocked him off that way. It was a pretty good move on his part. And then he just drilled him right in the side of the face, as you said.
All right, let's see what Parker is going to get 3-2 with the veteran Wainwright. And he walked him. He softballed him. So that's a gift. So Gillespie's going to hit. That's the first walk Wainwright has issued.
It was his 96th pitch. He's 34. He'll turn 35 in 2 months. And maybe he doesn't have the sharpness on that curveball that we're used to seeing as he closes in on 100 pitches. That's why they have O warming up in the bullpen. They really want him to finish this inning, though, because he's due to lead off in the last of the 7th, because Garcia got thrown out by Buster Posey trying to steal to end the 6th inning.
Here's Gillespie. And he doesn't waste any time as he pulls that first pitch foul.
Gillespie hitting for Johnny Cueto, and what a performance by Cueto, because he just wasn't himself, and I think he's the back problems, whatever it was that he had at Denver, that limited his normal abilities in there, and I think clearly he was constantly between pitches trying to do some back stretches and whatnot.
Curveball, and it's hit foul. We did not notice it for the first couple of innings, but then we started to see him bend his back and bend over, just trying to keep it loose, stretch it out. But he ended up throwing about what, 105 pitches?
105 in 6 innings, and just the 1 run, and that was an unearned run.
0-2 pitch. Got him. First fastball that Gillespie saw. And Wainwright with his 6th strikeout. Yeah, pretty close. Here's Span. Span is 0 for 3. He's hit a couple of ground balls to the shortstop Diaz. Giants are leading 2-1. They scored 2 runs in the 4th on 4 singles. Swing, you're going to miss. No balls and 1 strike.
Span's trying to be the RBI man. He has knocked in 21 runs out of that leadoff spot for the Giants, which is not too bad. And his overall batting average is only .260, but he is hitting a little bit better in these runners in scoring position at bats.
Molina called time. Now he's going to go out and have a word with Wainwright. These 2 guys have been battery mates for a long time. By the way, the Dodgers have scored first. They're leading the Dodgers, or the Braves have scored first. I beg your pardon. 1-0 first inning.
They've got what they feel is their best pitcher, Julio Teheran, going. Kenta Maeda on the mound for the Dodgers in that one. And Adonis Garcia singled home a run in the 1st. They're still batting.
Oh, and 1 to Span. Well, now that we've been in Atlanta, we've seen him for 4 games. We know what these guys like Garcia look like.
See Garcia's name, I know exactly who he is.
Exactly right. Until then, not so much. Span, a big hopper to Adams, and that will indeed end the inning. So Span is 0 for 4. Giants strand a pair. Pinch hitter coming up.
here in St. Louis. The Giants have a 2-1 lead as we go to the last of the 7th. The pitching change for the Giants. Josh Osich on in relief of Johnny Cueto. When it's time for a change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service. Your oil change, tune-up, and repair experts. And he will be facing not Adam Wainwright, who's due up, but a pinch hitter, Jed Jerko. Right-handed hitter with some power, the former Padre.
The former Padre, Jed Jerko, came over in the offseason. He's done a nice job for these Cardinals. You can see 6 home runs, 16 driven in. He's played some short. Facing Josh Osich. First pitch swinging. Bat goes flying. 1 out.
That bat just snapped in two. He was left holding about 8 inches of the handle of the bat, and the rest of it with a lethal looking jagged edge ended up against the brick part of the backstop to the left.
Well, here at Busch Stadium now, like all stadiums around the major leagues, that backstop goes from almost dugout to dugout and very high. And there's the bat as it just slings itself up against the screen. Here's Carpenter with 1 out. Carpenter looks at a strike.
97 miles an hour.
Easy 97. Carpenter's been on base 3 times. A single, an error, and a walk. In at third is Duffy. It's high fastball and a swing. Gonna miss. Another good 2.
Both Guerin and Katos up in the bullpen. And you've got a string of right-handed hitters that follow Matt Carpenter. Osich has been great against left-handed hitters. They, as a group, are 4 for 40 against him. 4 hits, 40 at bats. Righties hitting 400 against him, though.
Outside. The Cardinals, I don't believe, have. Instead of saying I don't believe, how about just looking it up? Carpenter has seen Osich 3 times, and he's 0 for 3. Down low, but other than that, they haven't seen much of Josh Osich. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Giants 2 runs on 5 hits. The Cardinals 1 run on 4 hits. Buster Posey sets up. He sets up away. Not that far away. It's 3-2. So you don't want to walk Carpenter. Not after you jumped out in front 0-2. Belt can't quite get it. Parker over to get it, and Carpenter's aboard, and Bruce Bochy's coming out.
Well, he lost his advantage over Matt Carpenter, and then finally, again, he just really didn't know where the ball was going. That one was right out over the plate.
You want to walk him. Osich departs. We got a right-hander that's coming in. We'll tell you about that when we come back.
broadcast is presented by authority of the San Francisco Giants and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of San Francisco Baseball Associates, LLC.
2-1 lead for the Giants with one out here in the 7th inning. Corey Guerin is the new pitcher. See the numbers for Guerin. He's done a good job. This will be appearance number 26. Osich leads the team, the bullpen in appearances, with 29. He'll be facing the shortstop, Diaz. Diaz is 0 for 3. Carpenter at first, not a guy that's going to try to steal the bag, as Guerin will check on him anyway. Cueto went 6. Did not allow an earned run. He did allow a run, but it wasn't earned. So Guerin pitching for the strikeout or double play ball. The pitch. And a call strike at the knees. Not sure Diaz thought it was a strike. It's 0-1. Lopez is in the bullpen getting loose. Lopez is doing that just in case Matt Adams becomes a hitter here in the 7th. Hooked foul down the third base line. It's 0-2. So Guerin rubs up a new baseball. On deck is Holiday. So it's up to Guerin now to be careful. 0-2. Carpenter, not a big lead, and a slider, and Diaz goes around. You think that's the first time Diaz has seen a Guerin slider? I think so.
I think so. And it's a pretty good one. And that's his stock and trade. He's doing a pretty good job as the Giants' Sergio Romo guy right now, and that's a pretty good facsimile of Sergio's slider.
Now Holiday has seen Guerin before. He's 1 for 2 with a double. In this game, he's 0 for 2 with a walk. Posey setting that target in, and right at the last second, Guerin stepped off the slab. Giants 2, Cardinals 1, bottom of the 7th. Guerin agrees with Posey. And the pitch. Swing! You're going to miss. No balls and 1 strike. I believe this ballpark's 10 years old.
This is the new Busch Stadium. The one that was here before, the big round ballpark, that was the new Busch Stadium for a long time, back into the 60s. And this was built right outside of that one. We used to see the construction when we go to the old one for the last 3 years that it was up.
Here's the 0-1 to Matt Holiday. Call strike. Now, if this stadium were in Atlanta, they'd be tearing it down and be building a new one.
It'd be just about time to, we really should be in the suburbs. This one is much different, and it's just a beautiful ballpark.
It's gorgeous.
And all the seats are red, and the people come dressed in red. And you're right downtown, the downtown skyline, easily visible, including the Gateway Arch.
I was walking downtown today. I saw that arch in the city and everything else, and I thought this was the team Ray Kroc should have won. Not the Padres.
This new guy, Ron Fowler, who agrees with Ray Kroc. If the team plays badly, let's go out in public and hammer them.
You got the big arch, right? Sets it up for where Ray Kroc made all of his money. 0-2 pitch to Holiday is low, 1-2.
Well, the golden arches.
Yes.
Well, he probably would have had it, paid a lot of money, and had it made yellow.
It would be a big advertisement right now.
You're talking about Ray Kroc, the former owner of the Padres, but also the founder of McDonald's.
That's right. Well, they do have Big Mac land here. 1-2. Carpenter with his lead, the pitch. Outside and low, 2 balls and 2 strikes. The odd thing about Turner Field is only like 4 years older than AT&T Park.
It opened in '97 and AT&T Park opened in 2000. Plus, it already had its own history when the Braves moved into it because it was the Olympic Stadium.
Right. 2-2. Foul back. Well, maybe the Braves really felt like they never actually had the honor of picking and choosing what their park were to look like.
Well, they didn't seem to like the area in which the park is in, and that's the area where Major League Baseball has been played ever since it came to Atlanta. The old ballpark was built right outside of Turner Field. 1966 they moved down there.
2-2 pitch to Holiday. Up the middle. Crawford should get there. He's going to go to first, and that'll end the inning. Nice job by Guerin. 8th inning coming up. John Miller will do the play-by-play. Giants lead 2-1. Game 3 tomorrow. 2-hour pregame coverage begins tomorrow on NBCSN. Coverage continues after the game with Sharks Playoff Central on CSN California. Sharks and Penguins. Time to beat those Penguins at home on your home ice. When it's time for a change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your oil change tune-up and repair experts. Song-Won Oh is the new pitcher, and he's facing Joe Panik. And to tell you about it is John Miller.
Panik has had 1 hit, started a 2-run rally back in the 4th inning as he takes a called strike. Oh, a lot of experience. First off in the KBO, the South Korean Major League, and then for 2 years in Japan. Always a relief pitcher, almost always a closer. Last year for the Hanshin Tigers in the Japanese Central League, he had 41 saves.
Wow.
39 the year before for Hanshin. And their season is a little bit shorter than the Major League season here. In the Japanese leagues, they play a 140 game season.
Well, that last pitch was an easy 94 to Joe Panik.
In his professional career, he has had well over a strikeout per inning on average. That kind of snuck up on him on the inside, high and tight. So far this year, 27 and 2/3 innings pitched, only 14 hits allowed, and 37 strikeouts. It just hit too hard. He could not come up with it cleanly. And then the carom, it didn't just stay right in front of him. It ricocheted away, and Joe Panik is safe at first.
Yeah, they're probably going to give Diaz an error, but for Joe Panik, he needs a hit. This is going to jump up on Diaz. You know, maybe they'll give him a hit.
And they gave him a hit.
Good.
You see right there the replay. It came up in an in-between hop. I think it may have just hit the heel of his glove and then right into his midsection. Matt Duffy gets 0-1.
He's got 12 errors this season. That's the most among Major League players. But not that time.
And quickly, Duffy with a 2-strike count. Duffy, he's seen video of O and seen the scouting reports. So he did not subscribe to the theory of, well, maybe I should see what this guy's stuff looks like. He went up swinging at the very first pitch, a slider or a cutter down and away, and now he's got an 0-2 count. And there's that fastball, but it's up. That, as Mike Krug calls it, the elevator fastball, but he got a piece of it to stay alive. But this guy, he is a strikeout guy, as the Cardinals have more action going in their bullpen now. That is Kiekefer. Dean Kiekefer. Base hit to right. Panik will stop at second. Piscotty charges into shallow right. Matt Duffy had kind of the inside out stroke going there and hit it right through that wide open right side of the infield.
We saw so many hits like that last year from Matt Duffy.
So now Buster Posey, and the stage is set for Buster. 2 men on and nobody out to try and do some damage here. The Giants leading 2-1 right now. Buster got a single back in the 4th inning. In that 2-run inning, he scored the go-ahead run. 2-1 Giants, still in the 8th. And Buster showed bunt and bunted it foul. Didn't just show bunt, he bunted at it.
Maybe the first time I've ever seen Buster Posey do that. And it dinged his opposite number, Yadier Molina, right in the right arm. Ooh, back of his hand. And that one's stunned.
Played umpire, still Jim Joyce giving Yadier a chance to try and shake this off. See, the catchers and plate umpires, they're fellow travelers. They get beat up. Thanks, man, he said.
Thank you.
Over the inside, strike 2 call. So Buster behind in the count, 0-2. Panik at second, Duffy at first. Buster in a deep hole against this strikeout pitcher. And he strikes him out. So that did not go well for Buster Posey.
Well, it started out, John, the ball that Buster tried to bunt for a hit did not look like it was a strike. So now you're behind 0-1 with a guy you don't know. Tough at bat.
And based on that one bunt, I don't ever want to see him bunt again.
Buster probably said, I'm not going to ever do it again either.
Called a strike to Brandon Belt. Belt has grounded out. He singled home the Giants' first run back in the 4th inning. Singled into right field, and he flied out to left center in the 6th. He's 1 for 3. The infield playing him to pull. And he chased down around his ankles. 0-2. Well, in this, looks like a guy who says he'd rather not throw a strike if he doesn't have to. There's another one down there, and this time Brandon Belt took it. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Belt is hitting .306. On base percentage well over 400. 2 men on, 1 man out. And he has struck out.
Turns out for Brandon Belt, the best pitch to hit in the at-bat was the first pitch.
So here's Brandon Crawford, who has not been retired in this game. Crawford has been hit by a pitch. He singled home the Giants' 2nd run back in the 4th inning. And then he hit another single to center field in the 7th. He's 2 for 2. 2 on, 2 out. Giants looking for a little pick-me-up here. And that's a foul. A little late on that one. That was out over the plate. He did not take it, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, Brandon Crawford is not going to let that first fastball get by him. Rather than fall behind 0-1, he went right after it. Doesn't really give you a great idea what the guy's got, but Crawford's a good fastball hitter. He liked it.
He came back with hard stuff. He didn't go to that cutter down below the knees like he's been doing. Crowded him with that one. 1-1. Shortstop Diaz playing almost up the middle for Crawford, playing at the pull. Off the outside. 2-1. Giants have had 7 hits in the game, all singles, and they need the big clutch hit right here. As Hunter Strickland gets up in the bullpen for the Giants. Off speed again. 2-2. There's Strickland, the big right-hander. And he struck him out. He gave up 2 hits to start the inning and then struck out Posey, Belt, and Crawford.
By Honda, it's Johnny Cueto. And what did Cueto do? Well, he threw 105 pitches. He pitched 6 innings. He struck out 1, and he was fabulous and not 100%.
So here's Guerin to Stephen Piscotty with the left-handed hitting Adams on deck. Third base side, nice pickup. Duffy's long throw in time. Beautiful play. Piscotty's a very fast runner in addition to everything else.
Well, given where you're at in this game, the leadoff hitter, this is a terrific play. As Bruce Bochy's coming out. That ball gets by Duffy. You got the tying run at second with nobody out. In turn, he makes a nice play with the glove, and then you have to make a strong and accurate throw, and he does.
That ball left the bat of Piscotty at 98 miles an hour on a very quick infield.
When it's time for a change, think Speedy. Oil change and auto service. Your oil change tune-up and repair experts. We'll be back.
When you're traveling with the MLB.com at Bat app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with Game Day, live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet. We could not exist without it.
We're actually watching the Dodgers as we speak.
On the app.
Where's Lopez?
What's the latest in that Dodger game?
2-0. Braves.
And here is Lopez, as you said, to face Matt Adams. A couple of right-handed hitters to follow. That's a called strike to Adams. He didn't think so. Adams has singled, walked, and grounded out to short in this game.
Yeah, this is it. This is a one-hitter appearance for Javi Lopez.
Two to 1 Giants. Last of the 8th. 1 out. And slider misses down and away. 1-1 the count. Trevor Rosenthal, the Cardinal closer, is up in the St. Louis bullpen. Randall Grichuk, a right-handed hitter on deck. Molina behind him. Strickland, the right-hander, up in the Giants bullpen. Fouled off to the right over toward Grichuk. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Cardinals got a run in the 3rd inning, an unearned run. Piscotty got the RBI single against Cueto. And then the Giants got 2 runs in the 4th on 4 base hits, including RBI singles by Belt and Crawford. That has been all of the scoring in this game. We're now in the last of the 8th. Giants have 3 infielders to the right of second. With the big overshift on. Only Duffy remains on the left side. And it's 2-2 to the dangerous Adams. Cardinals team, the highest scoring team in the National League. 2nd in the league in home runs. into the defense. Brandon Crawford, who's the shortstop at the second base position, and that is out number 2. And Bruce Bochy, sure enough, go out, take the baseball from Javier Lopez, say great job. And he's going to bring in the right-hander here with the right-handed hitter coming up. It is 2-1 Giants. 2 down, nobody on. We'll be right back.
Be the Red Sox in town, and Say Hey Tuesday is back. Come out and watch pregame show live from Willie Mays Plaza, and the first 500 fans get a cheer card and an authentic Giants fan pocket t-shirt. How about that? Show up for that and they're going to give you things.
So not just the game, but some goodies you get.
Pregame, yes, you get some goodies. You go out there and watch Greg and the fellas. By the way, Strickland is coming in to his 25th game, and you see his numbers, pretty good.
He comes in to face a dangerous hitter, Randall Grichuk, who's got a lot of power. He got hot sometime last year mid-season, and then they lost him. He got hurt, and that really hurt them badly. And that snaps in there for a called strike with the first pitch slider. That may have surprised him a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes you can get away with a hanging slider if it's the first pitch.
And then a fastball that was not a hanger at 97 miles an hour.
97.
To the count. 2 down, nobody on. Too high, and he did not offer. Grichuk, who's only 24 years old, they got him in a trade from the Angels. They sent David Freese and relief pitcher Fernando Salas after the 2013 season in that deal. 1-2. Off the outside at 97. Grichuk had 17 home runs last year in only 323 at bats, so he averaged a homer every 19 at bats, which is pretty good. Struck him out. Power versus power there. The high hard one blew it right by him. And we're heading to the 9th. Blanco, Parker, and the pitcher's spot due up. Warriors playoff central for game 2 with the Cavs. The coverage will begin on Sunday at 3:30 in the afternoon on CSN Bay Area. Before and after every Warriors playoff game, join Papa, Saint, Raz, and Kalena providing in-depth coverage. The home of the authentic Warriors fan is CSN. The Giants had a special room last night, so anybody on the ball club and with the traveling party could gather. They had some stuff to eat and drink and some big screen TVs. And what a game it was, and what an impressive performance. Who would have thought that Thompson and Steph Curry could get shut down and they'd win it rather handily nonetheless.
It's a great night for the bench and a great night for the whole world to watch what a great bench the Warriors have. This is Rosenthal facing Gregor Blanco with the Giants leading 2-1 here in the 9th. And Blanco takes a strike. But you're right, it's a fun room.
And I think the Cavs did a great job on Curry and Thompson.
They did. Up high, 2-1.
If either one of them ever got the ball, they were always double teamed. But the Warriors, you can't just stop a couple of guys. And we saw that last night. That team is so deep.
3-1 to Blanco. Blanco will take a walk.
This is not the normal situation for Rosenthal, the closer.
Foul back. Blanco had a shot to lean on one. It's 3-2. He has always thrown very hard to Santiago Garcia as he gets ready to pitch the bottom of the 9th. And Blanco is going to take the walk. That's a good at bat right there. And it's a good eye to take that last pitch. Now here's Parker. So Parker's going to step up. He's 0 for 2, a couple of strikeouts, and then he drew a walk in the 7th.
And one thing we know about Parker, he can hit a fastball. Now, can he hit it if it's 99 miles an hour or 98? Or?
Well, we may find out. Blanco's got good speed. Maybe he tries to steal a bag. And it's low. 1 ball and no strikes. So Rosenthal kind of missing in that same spot.
Kelby Tomlinson has come out on deck with Hunter Strickland due up next.
Foul back. So there's the 97 that you're talking about. And Parker was a little tardy. And there's Tomlinson. Giants have on their bench Brown, Gillespie's been used, Tomlinson, and Williamson. Check swing, foul, 1-2. So Parker adjusts the helmet. No sign that Gregor Blanco might take off. Outfield straight away. Blanco now extends his lead maybe by a half a step. He does not go, and Parker takes very high.
Hello.
2-2.
Well, he's seen all kinds of curveballs and cutters and sliders around the strike zone. Not always, and not very often in the strike zone. But he's just seeing gas right now from this guy.
Here's the 2-2 pitch. And a full count. And now we may see Blanco go.
And he threw him a changeup there, a two-seam changeup that ran off the outside at 86 miles an hour. Well, what do you think? 3-2. I think he's going.
He's going to go, and I think Parker's going to get a fastball. And he walked him, and he didn't go. So
half of that was correct, and here's Tomlinson.
Well, I know Boch, he likes to have maybe a few more things in his favor if he's going to send a runner. You've got a guy who will strike out. You got a pitcher who's a strikeout pitcher. So not enough. Somewhere in there, maybe you need a guy who's not likely to strike out, and a guy with speed at first. So you didn't have. Tony La Russa used to say he'd like to have 2 of those 3 things in his favor if he was going to send a runner.
We're having a conversation primarily with Carpenter, who's talking to the infielders. This is all about what are they going to do to defense a bunt. And the one thing the Cardinals, I'm sure, are aware of, that if Tomlinson lays down a bunt, they better move things along because he can get down the line. And with the way the defense is set up, you may see Bruce Bochy tell Tomlinson, you know what, I want you to swing. And now Rosenthal steps up. I think they were just trying to see what Tomlinson was going to do.
They've got the shortstop almost 2/3 of the way over to third base, and the third baseman Carpenter very shallow, and he started rushing in as a bluff and then moved back.
Out of play. I was going to say, I don't think he's going to bunt.
Well, there are holes opened up all over that infield the way they're playing it. And Matt Adams and Matt Carpenter could not have been very happy to see him swing it away.
Yeah. Showing a little bunt. Thing about Rosenthal is it's hard to get on top of a fastball that's 97, 98 and hit a ball on the ground. Cardinals, they're going to play it the same way. You want to swing, we're okay with that. If you're Tomlinson, you don't have to take necessarily a full rip. Low, 1 ball and 1 strike.
And patience is definitely a virtue against Rosenthal right now. He's having a hard time finding that strike zone consistently. He's thrown 14 pitches in the inning, only 5 in the strike zone.
And he doesn't have an out. Adams now backs up a little bit, and so does Carpenter. High again, 2 balls and a strike. That was not a fastball. It was a bit of a hanger. So this is a good cat and mouse game here in the 9th.
Keffer, a lefty, and Broxton, the right-hander, warming up in the Cardinal bullpen. Well, they've moved back even more, and Carpenter even with a bag at third.
And now the bunt is foul, so that now takes all the suspense out of what Tomlinson's going to do, because he's got 2 strikes on him.
Well, that was the one. It was a fastball. That was more like the straight bunt kind of a defense where you try to make the third baseman come in and field it. And you see those Broxton and Keffer warming up in the bullpen.
To the backstop, and none of it matters. Is Yadier Molina just missed it. And now the Giants have runners at second and third. That's got to be a pass ball. And I can't imagine that Molina was, he wasn't crossed up. He just missed it.
It is a pass ball without question.
All that work, and now the Giants do have runners at second and third, and Rosenthal's going to pitch for the strikeout. And he walked him. Good at bat. Cardinal fans a little unhappy. And now here comes Mike Matheny.
The Giants have 2 lefties coming up, Span and Panic. He's got Keffer, a situational lefty, ready in the bullpen. And he has not had much success so far So he's coming in, bases loaded, nobody out. We'll be back.
Log on. Each week as insider Alex Pavlovich talks baseball with players, coaches, special guests, and more. The Giants Insider Podcast. Alex Pavlovich, CSNBayArea.com. Oh, by the way, it's also available on iTunes.
Dean Kiekever on to pitch for the Cardinals, and he inherits a tight spot. Bases loaded, nobody out, and his numbers in the big leagues are not very good so far this year. Kiekefer, 9 innings, 7 runs, 11 hits allowed, including 2 home runs. He does have 8 strikeouts and has walked only 1. Although, on the other hand, he's hit 2 batters.
Yeah. The Giants will take that.
Lefties have not hit well against him, only 176.
And Span will hit with the bases loaded and nobody out, with the Giants leading 2-1 here in the 9th. Span is, oh my goodness, you're right, he almost hit him. 1 ball and no strikes.
I mean, that's a great save by Yadier Molina.
Look at this play. This is what John's talking about. First of all, don't know how it hit him, don't know how Molina caught it. Span has popped out and he's bounced out 3 times. On the ground towards the hole and a base hit. Blanco scores. Parker scores. To third goes Tomlinson, and the Giants lead 4-1. Nothing more than a seeing eye ground ball with the infield in.
Well, that is the classic. The infield comes in. It makes it a little bit easier to hit a ground ball through the infield because they don't have as much range. That ball's not going through. If they're back in normal depth, it wasn't hit very hard at all.
And given the fact it wasn't hit very hard, it allowed Tomlinson to cruise into third. Here's Panic. Panic has a couple of hits tonight. Infield in again. And Panic pulls it on the ground past Billy Hayes. No balls and 1 strike. Still nobody out. On deck is Matt Duffy. This probably is Kiekefer's last hitter. High pop up. This is not going to do it. It'll be Carpenter at third, and he'll make the catch. So Panic will be disappointed as Mike Matheny comes out, and he's going to get the left-hander Kiekefer. So he goes to the bullpen. It's going to be the big fella, Jonathan Broxton, with Matt Duffy coming up. Giants are leading 4-1. Toyota Sports Net Central after Giants postgame live on CSN Bay Area. Full report from the Warriors practice. Yeah, do the Cavs plan to bounce back? They probably do. They're probably planning for it. And then the Sharks prepare for Game 3, which will be tomorrow. Big Jonathan Broxton now on to pitch for the Cardinals. Broxton comes into his 23rd game. See, his ERA is up there. Lots of walks. Too many walks for Jonathan Broxton. And he'll be facing Duffy with Tomlinson at third and Span at first. Duffy 0 for 2 lifetime with a couple of strikeouts. Broxton sets at the letters, and here's a bunt, and Broxton's going to think about going home. He goes to first, and coming in to score is Tomlinson, and Duffy gets the job done. Very nice.
Safety squeeze, and not the suicide squeeze, but he got the bunt down, and it certainly looked like Tomlinson was aware of it. It's a good guy to try it with because Tomlinson's very fast. He got the good secondary lead as soon as the ball was put on the ground. Watch Tomlinson there on the left side of the screen, and he's on his way. And Broxton really wanted to go for it, but he really didn't have a play on it.
He did not. Here's Buster Posey with Span now at second. It's 5-1 Giants. And Posey takes inside for a ball. Buster's got some history against Broxton. 2 for 7. Belt is on deck. Swinging a bouncing ball. It'll be to Garcia at second. He kicks it around, picks it up, throws, and that'll end the inning. Giants score 3 times. Rosenthal walked 3, and they all scored. Contos is coming in. As we go to the bottom of the 9th, when it's time for a change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your oil change tune-up and repair experts. It's George Contos. He will try to get the last 3 outs in this game. You see his numbers. Had a hiccup in Denver where he gave up a couple of runs. And it'll be Yadier Molina to lead things off.
He got into that extra inning game on Wednesday night in Atlanta, and he pitched very well. He had a chance for some redemption because the night before he got into the game and he walked his guy.
Right.
And although the Giants ended up winning the game anyway, he really didn't do his job. So, but he looked great on the Wednesday game. Had a chance to meet his brother. His brother Chris came down from Chicago, and at first I thought that he was George Contos. They're not twins, but they look so much alike.
You could tell who it was right away. Molina is 0 for 2. And he takes a strike.
Well, we had Casilla. We saw him warming up out in the bullpen when it was still 2-1. But once they made it 5-1, it was no longer a safe situation. So Bochy said, well, let's not use him tonight if we don't have to.
This is roll to Cantos. Molina unhappy. 1 out.
Casilla's still up out there just in case. But they'd have to get a couple of men on to make this an actual save situation.
0 for 3 for Molina, a pass ball. This is what frustration looks like. You couldn't do that when I was playing for the Indians, because they only gave you like 1 bat order a year, and if you cracked a bat, you had to go steal some from the other team. Times were tough with the Tribe. And this kid's grandfather was managing that team at the time. This is Greg Garcia as he takes high and wide. 1 ball and no strikes. Probably a bit of an exaggeration, but sometimes we didn't think it was that far off.
Not much.
There's a called strike.
The Buddy Bell, who was probably the best third baseman in the league at that time.
He was.
And he didn't like the contract they offered him. So he said he was going to hold out. Wasn't going to spring training until he got a better offer.
Yeah, turned out he did get a better offer in Texas. There's a called strike. 1 and 2.
The GM said to the writers, I told Buddy, he says, we finished in last place with him. We can finish in last place without him if he wants to just sit home.
Phil Segui.
That may not have sold that many tickets.
Yeah, I lost a good friend, that's for sure. Here's the 1-2. Up high, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
This guy, it's unbelievable what he's doing. 14 hits and 26 at bats and 9 walks.
Well, he walked in the 4th, singled in the 6th. This time, got him.
Well, as Mike Krukow so often points out, George Cantos, much like Sergio Romo, throws that slider, but it doesn't have that telltale little dot that the seams, the spinning of the seams can make, which gives that pitch away to a lot of hitters. And he gets, just like Sergio, a lot of swings and misses at that one. That was a beauty.
Down and in. Here's Brandon Moss. He's going to pinch hit. John, you mentioned this is a home run hitting team. I mean, they do more than that, but they do like their home runs. And here's a guy that doesn't play all the time, and he's got 10 home runs.
Leads the team. He's got 3 pinch hit home runs.
Swinging a foul back. Giants saw a lot of Brandon Moss when he was with the A's.
They've hit, as a team, 10 pinch hit home runs already.
Wow.
In a third of a season.
One ball and 1 strike. There's a called strike. Brandon Moss started out, got to the big leagues with the Red Sox, the Pirates, Phillies, A's, Cleveland in St. Louis last year. 1 and 2. Here's the pitch to Brandon Moss. Oop, very high.
You saw Buster give him the signal for get it up out of the strike zone, but that not that far.
Giants with a 4-run lead here in the 9th. Overshift is on for Moss, and it's outside 3 and 2. Moss had 1 year with the A's where he hit 30 home runs. Came back the next year and hit 25. Came back the next year in a different uniform. 3 and 2. And the payoff to Brendan Moss is lifted out to Blanco, who comes racing in, and that's the ball game. So the Giants come in here, John, on a Friday night, and they win game 1 of this series.
And Johnny Cueto, he was not himself. I think, truth be told, he still had some physical issues, and yet Johnny Cueto would not yield only 1 run, and that was unearned. 3 hits in 6 difficult innings. Great performance.
And the bullpen came in with 1 out in the 7th, and they did not allow a base runner. So nice job by Cueto and the bullpen. Final score here at Busch Stadium: Giants 5, Cardinals 1. Stay tuned. Esurance Giants postgame live. That's going to start right now.